All right, we are live and welcome everybody to episode 4 of the Improvement Lounge. I am your host, Marcus, along with Sean, and today we got a special guest today. We had to bring in the big dog for this one because we need to get out of our comfort zone. So we are bringing in Tony Taylor Inspires today as a special guest to help us get out of our comfort zone. So welcome, Tony, to the Improvement Lounge.
Oh man, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you calling me a big dog, man. But hey, I'm on the stage right now with two big dogs. I don't know about me, but hey, it's all y'all, man. I appreciate the invite.
So today we are talking about getting out of your comfort zone, and I think that's one of the biggest steps to making any kind of progress is getting out of that comfort zone. How do you? How would you suggest, Tony, to get out of your comfort zone?
I think it's fear, right? As soon as I hear comfort zone, I think about the word fear, right? And fear is what keeps us back, right? And sometimes fear can propel us, and it just depends on what it is we're talking about. So for me, for the longest amount of time, ever since I can remember, I was afraid to do public speaking, and not just public speaking, but speaking in front of a group, because I'm thinking, okay, are they going to judge me? What are they going to say? Am I not going to sound articulate enough? Am I really going to bring the point, right? The point of what I'm trying to say. And man, it was just, it was bad. It was bad. I was really bad at it. And that's because I was fearful. But what took me doing it was realizing that I needed to make a change, because in that moment, I'm trying to climb the corporate ladder. And, in order to do that, and in order to be successful in corporate America, it's one of the things you have to do. You have to give presentations. People have to understand what it is that you're trying to convey. And I realized that I got to start working on this. And not only do I got to start working on this or pick a date to start working on it, I have to do this now. So the stuttering, the sweating, because I went through it, I would like start sweating before a presentation. It was really bad. It was really bad. But what happened, something shifted me. It was something that I wanted to do. I felt like I had a voice. Well, I knew I had a voice, but it had to be heard. So I started pushing myself into it. And to answer your question, if there's anything that's keeping anybody back, and it's something that you really want, you just got to do it. And I'll steal that from Nike, right? You just have to do it. And I know it sounds simple, because it is so freaking hard. It is so hard. For me, I would put myself in uncomfortable situations, and I would not allow myself to second guess it. I would say, yeah, I'll do it. I'll raise my hand. And then later I'm like, oh, damn. The whole company, that's like 2,000 people in our company. Why did I do that? Oh my God. And then I started doing it. And then what happened was people would come up to me and they would say, oh my God, that was impactful. That was this. And I'm like, I'm still with my towels sweating. Like, really? That was impactful. And I'm like, oh man, there was so much more that I was uncomfortable with saying. And so you just build up this tolerance within yourself and learning how to manage that fear. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, like you said, just like commit to it and just do it, right? Like put yourself out there and volunteer yourself, right? Put the spotlight on yourself. That definitely puts you in the zone to have to execute at that point. And there are a lot of times I've done that too. I mean, I've put myself essentially under the gun, so I would make sure that I did it right. What about you, Sean? What do you feel is the best way to get out of your comfort zone?
I agree with y'all. I think I told you I do activities that I practice just being out of my comfort zone. Like I'll do it, like how you said, but how it started with me was weird. It's like my life propelled me to do it. I always got volunteered. You know what I mean? Hey, Sean, go do this. I'm like, man.
So you're
the job that we was on. Yeah, I'm just getting volunteered, man. The job he was on. I talked to a guy. He asked me, did I know how to terminate some cables? And I said, yeah. The next day, he handed me a blueprint with 22 people in 2 different buildings and said, hey, I want you to. I was like, I don't even know my
Sounds
way
a lot
around the
like
building,
somebody I
man.
know.
You know, yeah. So, you know, I think it's definitely to just do it. Don't be too hard on yourself because you only get better as you go anyhow.
Right.
Um, I have a question for both of y'all. In public speaking, do you look at people or do you look at the wall and things behind everybody? What do you do?
Brother, I started off I started off looking at a wall. And what are you going to say to a wall? You know what I'm saying? If that's what it takes, like initially, I feel like if that's what
Yeah,
it takes for you to start doing it, right? Because you're not going to drop any gems to a wall, right? And that's what I would do. And then I went from that
right.
stage to imagining that they're all naked. Then I'm like, man, I feel like a pervert up here because that's not going to work because that's not
Yeah,
going to work because I'm talking to people as like all of these different like mental deals, but I would say whatever you feel comfortable with starting out is what matters. So yeah, what I would do is I would want them to think that I'm looking at them, but I was afraid to look at them. I would look past them. I would look at something like behind them. So if it was like a chandelier or something like that, what kind of sense or common sense am I going to talk into a chandelier? But it was the people. It was the people. And one thing that I think is important before you give those public speeches or those talks, even if it's just a meeting with a group of 10, what I like to do is I show up 20 minutes early, right? Usually I'm in the parking lot an hour early. I'm scoping the place out because these are all the things that's going to make me comfortable, but I'm scoping the place out. I walk through, I'm saying hi to people. So I'm creating this rapport. People are more familiar to me. And then the people that I'm going to be in the meeting with, I might sit down, talk about my kids, talk about my family, talk about those different things to get them out of their comfort zone. And then once we're dapping up and high-fiving, then it's on. Then I can look directly at them because I know, okay, Marcus, I know that you said this. And, Bob, I know that this, and, I'm able to actually talk to the people instead of just talking to the wall like I used to.
Yeah, I've done that too. When I first started out, I would always like look past people and stuff. I think the biggest thing, like for me, is the prep work beforehand. Like you're saying, you went to the event and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and you would get to know the environment and everything. I was the same way, right? Like I try to prep, like so I like always like have like a framework before I go into any like speech or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to make it so structured to where like I'm rigid when I'm giving the speech, but I want to know my points. So when I feel like I'm in a lull or something like that, I can kind of reference back to those points and then I can continue on. But I've always found, especially now that I've done, I mean, I haven't spoken to big crowds like possibly Tony has, but the thing is that I've always, I look in the crowd and I look for those people that are like engaging, right? That are paying attention. And then I focus on those people, but I don't stare. I just glance at them. I look at them like when I'm trying to make a point, and then I move and I try to glance over the crowd back and forth. And then again, just depict those people that are actually engaged in the conversation are in my talk ultimately. But yeah, I think it's just, and like going back to the point that what Sean was talking about challenging yourself to do tough stuff all the time, I think really helps.
Yeah.
Because that expands that comfort zone and expands your essentially your not only that comfort zone, but being used to it, right? And knowing that you can essentially succeed, right?
Yeah.
Getting over whatever that hurdle is. And so you're not so fearful, right? Because okay, well, all I got to do is just blast through this fear. It's only going to take a couple seconds, and then I'll be there on the other side. I'll be okay. And then I can just continue on from that point.
Yeah, because I think it's like once you start overcoming challenges, you get a little momentum. So like,
yeah,
that's why I say I even do it in the gym. Like I know I might talk about work, but I do so many things there at times. It has nothing to do with physically working out. Even if I'm just taking a weight and just holding it up, I got one. I'm just gonna hold it up for 3 minutes. I'm gonna make myself do it so my mind can take control of what's going on.
Yeah. You building those. You
Yeah.
building those reps. You building
And
those reps.
yeah.
And it's funny, like how y'all say, like looking at people can be weird sometimes, right? Because
Yeah.
you might catch like 3-4 people in a row, and they like, they just
Yeah.
not engaging at all, right?
Yeah.
And you can't focus on them people anyhow. I think that's just a life lesson because everybody's not gonna be with it, so that's cool too.
Yeah, it's almost like you just kind of moving and grooving with the crowd, man. I did a presentation, and this is the moment where sometimes you want to kind of look at a wall. I did a presentation. I know we all kind of work with IT people. IT people, they're a different breed, right? They're a different breed. So I was working, did a presentation to IT people, man. Everybody was on their computers doing other stuff, doing their IT stuff.
Yeah.
And I look over at my son because my son helped me out quite a bit, like with all the different technology and getting everything set up. And I'm like, man, are you catching this? And I'm like, am I doing good? Am I vibing? He goes, no, you good, Dad. Just keep pushing. And I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm about to look at the wall because what I'm getting from them, it ain't gonna work. But yeah, man, it's the I like what you said, Sean. It's the repetition and the mental exercise, and that's why, man, I'm a firm believer in the whole 21 days make a habit. I didn't believe that at first. I did not believe that at first, but it's one of those things that you start giving yourself that mental exercise. I did this deal to where I'm like, you know what, man, I'm gonna run for 21 days so I can build this habit. I'm gonna run for 21 days. All right. And I'm like pumped up about it, but then I'm kind of like, man, I don't want to really do this. All right. And I'm only going to do a mile. So I started writing down in my journal, in my phone. I say a journal, like I'm like deep. I'm not that deep. I'm talking about like the notes, right? The notes.
I got
phone.
it.
All right, cool. Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm you know what I mean, this philosopher that carries a journal, leather one. But so what I noticed, I would write down, okay, today, man, I sucked. I stopped to tie my shoes, even though I really didn't need to. I just really needed a break, right? And I started writing down this journal. So I look up and I'm like, man, I wonder how I did. So it's like day 23. And then I noticed that I stopped writing down everything, how I was feeling on day 19. So it was that repetition. And I'm like, I would just start running just like it wasn't nothing. It was just a part of my day. And I'm like, I look at the scale, I lost like almost 30 something pounds. And I'm like, damn, man, like that really is true. 21 days. So that's why anybody that I talk to, whether it's a client or whatever it is, I mean, yeah, it's not going to get solved in 21 days, but I believe that we're going to get in those 21 days of reps so that you can be in that frame of mind that, this is nothing. You don't even got to think about it. You know what I'm saying?
And I like the idea of just like how you say reps, because they're not all going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Some days you're going to mess up. Some days you come out, you like, man, I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
Like, man, that was so half-assed. Like,
Yeah. Hey, I know you ain't giving up no half-ass, man. I saw them guns, dude. I'm like, good, man. I'm glad I wore my sweater today, man, because them guns are intimidating.
That's them practice reps. I promise you. That's just practice reps, man.
Hey, that's the reps. There we go. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny you said that. People like, man, Sean, but you love working out. I said sometimes. Sometimes.
Yeah, just putting them in, even though you don't enjoy it sometimes.
Yeah, and also put yourself in position to be the example. Don't be scared of that. That's a tough thing, because then that's the fear of failing. I might let people down.
Yeah.
So like that's what I do. Like now I feel like I'm leading people to meet their fitness goals, and along the way they actually inspire me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to let them down, so I keep pushing. You know what I mean?
Man, that's the biggest thing about like being. I talk about like being the model for others to follow. Like if you can be that model, and show people, right? People, they may listen to you or whatever, but that's great. But unless you are actually doing the action and them actually visually seeing it, right? They're not gonna, your words only carry so much weight, right?
Right.
It's more in the action.
Right. And that's what I love, man, about like connecting with different people that are going through different things and being, that person for them, like that mentor that's going to help them, especially here recently. I've been getting hit up with a lot of people that are working through, and I hate to keep bringing this up, the whole public speaking thing, because I don't know if you guys realize what we're doing right now is really hard for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Even like for us to have this conversation, to know that it's recorded, to know that it's going to be on YouTube. Oh my God, that could be overwhelming for
y'all
some.
making it easy for me though, man. I promise.
Greasing the skids for Sean.
Yeah. No, but it takes that. It takes the repetition. It takes working with somebody that you trust. Like I'm working with this group, and I made a promise to myself, to these group of not just speakers, but just professionals, right? This promise that I made to myself is that this is my group, to where I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to be my authentic self. And I will tell them, hey, before we start, I'm extremely nervous in giving this speech. I've been working on this for 2 weeks, and I hope that it resonates with you, because I want you to feel the impactfulness. And then I'll tell them I'm really nervous, and they're looking at me like, oh shit, we can relax, because if he's saying it and he's helping us, oh my God, is Tony sweating? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, like, nah, man, this is like me, like peering my soul to y'all, and I'm nervous. That's what, to me, like every mentor, every leader that I had, like it's those people that are authentic. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I think a big thing that helps with too, right? Because there's so much. It's so tense, right? Especially when you're giving a speech or something. That's why a lot of times, like I joke around, it's to cut that tension.
Yeah.
Right. And once you cut the tension, then it helps everybody in the room like relax, like, okay, chill, right? Like you can hang out. It doesn't need to be so intense and intimidating.
I call it the moment of awkwardness. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
Whether like you're in a big group or just a one-on-one, it just gets to a point that it just get awkward, right?
Yeah. Everybody get all quiet.
Yeah. Or somebody, like, especially, I'll tell you a story like training. When you're telling somebody to do something or giving instruction and it's hard and it's their first time doing it, and they look at you and they want to cuss you out for real. And you're looking at them and you might want to cuss them out too.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you usually understand, but like it's just breaking that. It's like how Marcus always say, having a different perspective. It kind of like feel what other people are going through.
Yeah.
Ooh, like I think that one of the biggest things that in this country, in a sense, is just diversity, right? And being able to deal with certain things. And Ben, what Tony said, I promise you, like I know I relate to people who are genuine. Because when people see you tell them you nervous and you go up there and scream and you go kick ass, they like, oh man, like he felt like that before that.
Yeah. Yeah, they rooting you on. Yeah.
It kind of fuels you after that point. Yeah.
You're gonna have your people but that's their problem. The people who are rooting in a negative way, that's not a you thing, that's a them thing.
Yeah.
They need help. And sometimes you might even get them too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the best feeling, man. Those people that you can win over, that when you first started, whether it's a meeting or a conversation, they've been on their phone, they're looking at you like, man, this dude's whack. But when you can get those people reeled in, right? Because those are usually the people that, have either they're really nervous at doing it. They might be feeling the nervous energy from you. But when you can like grab those people back and start interjecting them into the conversation. Oh man, you look like a smart dude. What do you got going on over there? You know what I mean? Like, and they start coming into it and they're laughing and joking with you, man. It's the best thing, man. And that's what communication, man, we can all improve in communicate.
Yeah, all the way,
definitely.
man.
Oh man. Yeah.
So do you feel like you hone in on those guys, Tony, when you see those people? Is that like a challenge for you when you're giving a speech?
Kind of, yeah, because because I have this weird personality where I want, and it's a flaw, man. I want everybody to like me because, you know what I mean? Because I like everybody, you know, I like everybody, and I want to make sure that I'm not in, you know, hostile territory. Maybe that's the Marine Corps coming out of me, but I want to know, man, are you friend or are you foe? You know, what is it that I can help you with? You know, how can we get through this together? But it's like, yeah, it's almost like it's a challenge at first. And that's the thing when we talk about improving ourselves and stepping out into the faith that we work to get to, right? Those were the people before that, like before a meeting, I would just be like, oh man, kind of dreading it. Like, oh damn, Bob about to be on here. He about to ask me these ridiculous questions, right? But I started thinking, you know, how can I engage? If I can engage Bob, I can get Sally engaged, I can get Joe engaged, I can get Sue engaged. That's my conquest, right? That's my conquest. And I'm going to conquer this, not necessarily to beat him down, but to bring he or she in the conversation. And it's just these little mind games that you got to play with yourself to get over the adversity. I don't know. Have you guys seen the Michael Jordan series, The Last Dance?
I've seen portions of it. I haven't watched the whole thing though. It's good though. It's really good.
Oh, bro, look, Michael Jordan. You know, he's a mind. He's always been kind of like this mind guy, but Michael Jordan would make up in his mind, right? If he didn't have an enemy for the game or enemy for the series, he would make up in his mind that they've said something bad about him, his mother, his father, right? And he would freaking punish them for it. There was people in that documentary that were just saying, dude, I don't know what Jordan's talking about. I never said that. I love Michael. I don't know why he said those mean things about me, but it was a mind thing that he would do, not for that person, but to trigger himself. Like, dude, I'm going to punish you. I'm going to punish you.
Hey, I got a funny story about that, right? I think all this comes in, like, I guess, I don't know what's the word, perspective, right? I did that in the gym one time. I mean, pissed myself off. But guess what? This is funny now. Almost had an anxiety attack.
Oh,
so I needed to lift something so heavy that I made myself go there, but then I told myself I won't do that again. You know, it's levels to this, right?
Yeah. It's not worth hurting yourself, right?
And it wasn't the weight that was about to hurt me. It was me. Like I let my mind go too far. I am one of them big people that's heavy on mental. It's something about it's funny. Like I was gonna ask you, like, because you know we all have different methods and things for different people. So like, I know one of my methods for groups of people sometimes it's a lot of different ways, right? If yours is a lot probably different because you got a bunch of people you don't know when you speaking, I guess 2,000 people and stuff like that. If I got a group of people and I know the negative person still can be moved by emotions and they're vulnerable, I just get everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get everybody else.
Yeah.
They're gonna feed off that. I don't know what it is about this world right now. Me and Marcus talked about this before, but it's not a lot of critical thinkers. It doesn't seem like it. People just say what other people say. A person may not like a person because somebody else said it, and you're like, "Well, do you know him? Like, what did he do to you?" And they don't know. So with those kind of people, I almost played this, with that one. I move the room and I move the emotions and have them get to them, because sometimes I know that, and it's like dealing with a bad kid in the classroom. That kid gets all the attention, while all the good kids nobody pays attention to. So it's kind of funny to hear like different aspects. Like, so let me, I guess, because I'm really trying to learn these things. Because you the public speaker, and you said you about to be in what are you about to go on again?
Well, it's this app. It's called Pep Motivation, and with this app, you got Oprah Winfrey on it, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, the Rock. So what they do is they basically, there's a bunch of different collaborations, and you kind of have like your own platform. It's a cool concept. I'm really glad to be partnering with them. It definitely was a highlight of the week for me.
That's awesome for real. So like,
Awesome.
what do you usually do with the person that's tough to get to? Like, this is like really, you got everybody else moving, and this person is just kind of like whatever. Like, how do you usually handle that?
I handle it. I go into this a lot of times with the whole family dynamics, right? Every job, it's almost like you can look at somebody's family and you can say, okay, that person reminds me of my wife. That person reminds me of my daughter. That person reminds me of my son. And so in those instances, right, in those instances where I have that person reminds me of my son, because my son, when he was in high school, it's funny. I had been thinking about I had started a YouTube channel, and what the name of the YouTube channel was going to be was the things that I would say to my son if he was listening. All right. Because nice. I just felt like I would tell him like, damn, bro, I'm not like an old guy, like trying to be hip, like me and you, like we're into the same music and, all of this, but like, all right, they're not going to actively let you know that they're listening because they're going through some things internally, right? They could be going through some things internally. So what I would do to my son was I would still have those conversations with him, no matter if he wanted to hear it or not. I knew that he needed it. I knew that he needed it. At least at that time, I thought I knew, but now I know that I know, because my son, he's always been an amazing human being, but it's weird when I'm having a conversation with my son and I'm explaining to my son, yeah, man, these are some of the things that I'm dealing with right now, as far as like trying to come across, whether we're talking business strategy, whether we're talking about relationships that, that I have with his sisters, we're trying to bridge some kind of gap together. And then he would say something for a second. I'm like, dude, that's so profound. And then I'm like, man, get out of here, dude. You got that from me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I knew that he was listening, right? I knew that he was listening. There's evidence that he's listening, because he's walking in the same things that we were talking about before, when I thought that he wasn't listening, and the things that he's telling his sisters, the game that he's giving them, like it's evidence that he's listening. So I take that person in that audience. Yeah, you're going through some turmoil right now. It might not be puberties like my son, but you're going through something at home. I feel like you might be the person that really need to hear this message about loving yourself, about being kind, about showing respect, about, projecting positive image, about being your authentic self. You're the person that needs to hear this message. So I'm going to pour into you a little bit harder than I know everybody else. And I'm going to look you in your eye, and we're going to have that moment. And guess what? After we have this conversation with this group, I know that you're going to come up to me and you're going to be like, hey, thanks, bro. And you know what I mean? Like, so, and those are the moments. And that's how I deal with that, because it's almost like you can tell if they're not interested, just like in any relationship. If I go in there, I give my wife a hug and I say, hey, what's going on, baby? Good morning. And she's like, hey, what's up? It's all good. And I'm no, I need to pour into you some more. What's going on? We need to get to this. And I feel like it's the same thing with those dynamics. Is something else going on? He might getting ready to lose his job, working on losing his wife, doing some stuff he ain't supposed to be doing, he or she, and it's just trying your best to get at him, but mentally, right?
I got you. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Do you focus on that particular person a lot? I mean, how? I know you said like you would talk to your son, right?
Mm-hmm.
How exactly do you just focus on that particular person and try to get them to interact with you? Is that what you're also doing?
Yeah, sometimes and sometimes it just got to be a shotgun blast, because the example that you guys gave before is if you're just directly just talking to the person that's whether they're seeking negative attention or just that. What about everybody else? Everybody else, they came for everybody else there. I'm not going to do that. And as a parent, that's one thing that I'm working on so much is, our kids, they go through different seasons. My son might be going through something. My 19-year-old daughter might be going through something. My 12-year-old. But if I spend 365 just honed in on that, on one kid or one activity, then now I'm neglecting everybody else's issues. So it's sometimes it's just like a shotgun blast, and I'm talking to them without talking to them. You ever turn on a motivational speaking? And maybe I'm the only weirdo. Motivational speaker, just listening to people talk, and just not even that, but just having mentors pour into me. Like those voices, they go deep. But you ever listen or been at church, right? You ever been at church and you're like, you walk out of church and you say, man, he was talking to me. She was talking to me. That message was for me, right? And then you're just mystified by it. But hopefully those are the moments that we're creating for those people. You don't necessarily have to look them in their eye and say, dude, put your freaking phone down. But like you can tell what's
look at. I'm just gonna eyeball you from across the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the Marines, what we do is if somebody's doing something they're not supposed to be doing, having a conversation, we pick up a book and drop it. Like, okay, are you guys done? You know what I mean? But you can't do that. You can't do that with civilians. But I just think loving on them, man, and continue to love on them, even though you're not talking to them directly.
Right.
Yeah. I guess giving them some kind of little cue or something to know that you're paying attention to them. I like that. I like to come at it in that aspect, right? I like to gamify everything. So I always like to play these mind games with myself and challenge myself. So when I'm in the moment, right, if I feel like somebody's not paying attention, I always like to try to drop some kind of like physical cue, whether it's like a wink or something. Yo, I noticed that you're not paying attention, but just
You're like, look, I know what color drawers you got on.
Because it messes you up a little bit. It'll throw you off, and you're like, man, am I adding value? Am I adding value to this person? And sometimes that's what we got to do. We just got to keep digging to make sure that that we are adding value. There's sometimes where I know that people weren't paying attention to me because I wasn't adding value to them. It wasn't for them, and that's okay. That's okay.
Now, do you feel like you've ever been to a point to where like you may be giving a speech or something and you kind of lose train of thought and be like, oh shit. Where am I at?
Man, I think it was my grandma's not 70, it was like 80 something birthday, like, hey, in our family, and I'm pretty sure y'all family too, man, it's a celebration, right? Everybody come in from out of town, especially if it's the patriarch or matriarch or of your family, man, it's a big deal. And this is before I had even started public speaking. One of my aunties said, hey Anthony, do you want to do and this is when I was on that journey, right? Do you want to do the toast for Mama Minnie? That's what we call my grandma, the toast for Mama Minnie's birthday celebration tonight. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I immediately started stuttering. So so I got up there, man, in front of these people, man, and we talk about, man, most of these people there were my family, distant family, couldn't be more of an easier crowd. And I wasn't polished. I was trying to be polished, and that's what threw me off. I wasn't being my authentic self. So I got up there, I'm stuttering, I'm hammering and I thought, okay, cool, I'm done. I just want to get done. I just want to get off of that stage, man. And I get off the stage or like the little platform, and my auntie come up to me and she said, baby, you did good, but you forgot to toast. We didn't toast. And I was going up there to give a toast, but I never did it, man. I just went.
And those are like, let's get this down.
Yeah, and I didn't instruct everybody else to do it, but I went back and I was like, all right, everybody raise your glasses, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was, and in that moment, it was the worst. It was the worst, but I laugh about it now because I know that it can happen again. Like, we're gonna stutter. The next presentation we give, we're gonna have those moments. So yeah, definitely, it happens a lot, man. It happens a lot. I listen to my videos now and I say, I say right. I say right. You know what I mean? And it's just, or you know what I mean? I say that quite a bit, but it's progress. That's what it's about.
Just think about it. You would have never been to make that progress if you never did it.
Right. Yeah. It's scary, man.
Yeah.
It's so scary. I always think of it as, you know, like my wife, right? When I first wanted to like talk to my wife, I'm like, there's no way. Yeah, this is me like kind of going up a little bit. I'm about to level up. How am I gonna do this? You know, how am I gonna level up? And I thought that there's no way that she would want to talk to me, but she was very interested. And it's like, you don't know until you try. So it's like, you know, shoot your shot, right?
There you go.
That's it too. And it's not the last time, right? I think a lot of people think like that's do or die, right? Like if people start laughing at you, that's the end of it. And you got to get to a point where, like you said, where you just laugh it off.
Yeah.
Like, it's whatever. When's the next time, right?
Yeah.
With me, it may even be a little, I don't know if it's bad, good, whatever, but I like I said one time on one of the other podcasts, I just look at myself like an imperfect person that's always trying to get better. So when I mess up, it's nobody that can really ridicule me because I'm looking at them like, fuck them too. So I don't really care. You know? So I'm like, look, you know what? I messed up this time, but I will get better. So that's what really keeps me whole. But also wanting to get better all the time. So for me, it's weird. Like I'm just hitting 40, but I found that then like the balance where it's at the point where, okay, I do want to get better, continuously get better. But if I do mess up, it won't be the first time, it won't be the last. And I'm not about to die. So let's just go.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. When you said that, I thought about, and I think about this all the time. I think, because, you know, like when there's things that's connected to other things that might not be pleasant, you know, it plays in your head. And there's a couple events that, like, I was walking down the stairs one day, and make a long story short, I broke my leg. So every time I walk down the stairs, I think about that moment. One time I was in the gym, I forgot to put the clamps on the weights. So I go to push it up, and then boom. And, so it makes this noise, and everybody in the gym, they turn around and they look at me. But it's just like you said, like we're perfectly imperfect. So it's like, it is what it is. You just laugh it off like, yeah.
You turn around, I did that, man. I did that. So what?
I'm really big on that, man, because sometimes that's what holds us back. We're just too hard, and then what happens is it turns into big fear. The fear of failing. Listen, you're going to fail. It happens. But is it really failing, or are you just learning? Like, I guess it's perspective, right?
Yeah, totally.
It is perspective. It is, because that's what I tell my daughters, man, so much, like the things that they're going through. I laugh like internally because it's like, I remember those days, and I'm just like, man, I don't care about that right now, but I can feel the pain, you know, like, oh, I don't have my friend no more. They're not talking to me. They said that this about me. They say that about me. And I'm like, man, I remember those days, man. My friends couldn't stand me because they thought that I talked too much. I still talk too much. But there's one of those things now where I'm just like, it is what it is, man. Love me or hate me, I'm there. But definitely, man, I feel like you grow through what you go through. And if you ain't going through nothing, you ain't growing. You ain't growing through nothing.
I definitely, that right there, that's a true thing. I mean, you got to go through to grow. Like, you know, people like to sit and watch from the sidelines sometimes and say what they would have did. And then it's always great when you get a chance to put somebody who does that in the hot seat and let them go. They'll come back and they'll be like, man, you know what? I didn't know it was that difficult.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing though, too. You want to continue to push, right? Because eventually you get too big for the pond. You want to find bigger ponds and continue to push yourself. And that's one thing. If you get too comfortable, you're going to start neglecting it. And then at that point, you know, you may have expanded your comfort zone, but if you get comfortable, you know, that comfort zone starts contracting again. And then you realize, man, I can't even do the basic stuff I was doing before, maybe a couple of weeks or a month ago, right? It's like going to the gym. Like, you got to be continuously trying to expand, continuously try to lift heavier weight, right? To push it out more and challenge yourself. And I know that can seem really daunting, but that's ultimately where we want to be at. And you feel like you're more alive when you're doing that, right? I feel like I'm more alive when I'm
more
challenging and pushing.
Yeah, no,
So,
definitely.
I got a question for both of y'all. It's a two-part question. How important do you think recharging is? And if you do recharge yourself, how do you do it?
That's a
Talking about recharge, and I'm sitting here and have my coffee today. I'm
That's
like,
a part of it, though, man. Look,
Brother.
you're gonna be jumping out there doing all this. I ain't scared. After a while, you're worn out. You're people, and you need something.
It's definitely for me, man. It's one of I chuckled a little bit when you said that, but it's one of those things that I got to practice what I preach, because I run myself ragged. Now, I'm gonna tell you this, man. Like I think you and I were just talking about this earlier before we start recording, but I run myself ragged, and I think it's important to start noticing that, and that's one thing that my wife and I are working through with me, because I feel like if I'm not going, I'm not growing, right?
Yeah.
Instead of like being in that like recovery phase. So I find myself working until like, 2:00 in the morning. Me and my wife were supposed to relax and like watch a show, but as I'm doing other things, I'm getting inspiration from doing stuff. And she's like, "What are you doing? We're supposed to be doing this." But man, it's those times that I feel so in tune with not just like the work that I'm doing, but with myself, is after we go and we take those trips where my wife is like, "We're going, let's go, leave your phone in the car. We're going to recharge and we're going to go and sit by the water for the weekend." You know what I'm saying? And those are the moments where I come back and I'm just like, I got it. I know what we got to do now. But yeah, man, I think it is important to have a plan and a strategy of recharging yourself, man, because otherwise, man, once those batteries gone, man, it's going to take a while for it to charge back up. It's just like, your camcorder or your phone. You notice that when you have your phone in your hand, right, and your phone is telling you that I'm on this last charge. You better plug me up, or your computer, right? You take it and you look at it. You can send a couple emails. You could do whatever, right? And you plug your phone in. And then you're good to go. But after you let that phone die, man, sometimes I feel like it takes forever for it to come back on. When all you have to do was put that cord in there and you'll be good to go, right? But you're procrastinating, but you're gonna be down anyway. So you might as well plan that downtime, because it's gonna take so much harder to plug back into it. But,
yeah, that's what I figured too. Though, is like you're saying, like you get in that flow state, right? And you lose track of time, and so it's hard to reel that in sometimes. Right. I've noticed that even myself, I've been telling myself, man, I really need to recharge. And when I catch myself, I'm like, okay, well, I got to do, like we've taught, like Sean and you and I have talked about, like, we have this list of like stuff we want to get done during the day. Yeah. And then I still might have like a couple of things on that list, but it's already like, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And it's like, okay, well, now I need to calm down. I need to slow my roll, especially tomorrow. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to get my rest, and then I'll come back at it when I'm nice and refreshed. And I've noticed that it's starting to, it affects your work, even though you do enjoy it. And, what we do what brings us purpose and flow and satisfaction in our lives. But you definitely have to correct yourself, right, when you notice that stuff, and take a step back. And I think even for myself, I'm at that point where like, okay, Marcus, you need to slowly roll, right? Like I've planned all this stuff and I've done all this stuff, and even like when I get off of here, it's like I know I need to calm down, because I've already been going since early this morning, late last night. So it's like I need to take a step back, because again, you can start seeing it in your work.
I'm a witness to Marcus. Marcus might text me at 3:00 in the morning. Let's go, bro.
You need that sometime, though. You need that.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, I thought I was the only crazy person that's up right now.
Yeah.
It's funny you're talking about that, Sean, because Tony and I were just talking about that. And I was like, every time I go on LinkedIn or something, Tony's like 4 hours ahead of me, like throwing out more content. I'm like, man, I thought I was fast.
I need to follow. That's what we need. I promise you. For me, I guess sometimes how I even have to do things to make myself recharge sometimes, because what I notice is when I don't recharge, everything lags. It's not just work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how I may deal with my kids, you know, the low energy stuff like that. And then if I'm thinking about my why, it's like now you're doing it for nothing. You know what I mean? Some of the reason why you started, you're not even living up to that now. Yeah. So now you're getting lost along the way. So that's what I tell myself. I'll be like, man, let me just do something that I just want to do, have fun. Like say, get a dopamine fast real quick. Off this thing. I do think it's very important. Having good people, good energy always breeds good energy. Like today's my first time talking to you, Tony. I'm for sure gonna try to get on you on LinkedIn.
Likewise, brother. Let's connect. Yeah.
Think, look, here go the competitor. Since you think you can beat me up.
That's awesome. Hey, I was gonna ask you a question. Go ahead.
No, fine. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like we're talking about rest, right? We're talking about rest and recovery. You being you're a personal trainer, right? Right. So you being a personal trainer, you ever go into those situations where you got a client that clearly needs to like work, right? You got a client that got a long road ahead of them, and they automatically, and I look at this as life too, right? They automatically start asking you, hey, coach, when do I get a cheat meal, or what days do I rest? Like you ever go into those situations like where it's just like where you want to just tell them like, man, you ain't even start working yet, so we don't even know when you're gonna need to rest. We gotta go.
So I do disclaimers, okay? So people, they meet me, I'm laughing, you know, they're laughing. I say you're not gonna like me all the time, okay? This thing is a love-hate thing, you know. I said I always tell my clients this: you have feelings and you have goals. Me and your goals are like this. Me and your feelings, I genuinely care, but we here to meet goals. So when they do that, I'll say things like, when you earn it.
Ooh, I like that.
You know, when you earn it. When you get a cheat meal, it's funny you say that. I do have every client, no matter is weight loss or mainly weight loss, I do a 21-day detox. It's not nothing crazy. It's not a water diet. It's not anything like that. I'm just trying to help reset your palate and get you onto a structure. And then I wean you back onto things. So I treat clients like in different levels, two different phases. Because some people, I know me and Marcus talked about this before, just knowing your clientele, knowing your personnel and whatever. Yeah. Some people you can push. Some people you have to pull back. You know what I mean? Some people, they'll go too hard. You have to tell them, look, I need you to rest. I identify with the people that I tell they need to rest. It's like I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
Because I have to do that. Like I literally have to do that. You know, some people, you know, I always say this for me, when I was 260 pounds and coming down, the good part now is that I can kind of understand when people are going through something that's just, I understand it's hard. Like, you know, this is not easy. So I'm not saying just do it. But then I also understand when you're BSing. And it's not maybe not even intentional. You're psyching yourself out. Your mind is starting to be in control now. You know, I've had, man, it's weird what a man can do. A person may not be hurt, but they'll walk around. I had somebody say how their arm hurt so bad. And I mean, they were like this and everything. And then I saw them take their sweatshirt off.
Oh man. Yeah.
Hold up, man. So like I said, I try to be very transparent. I just said something to them. I said, do me a favor. If you're really hurt, definitely let me know. I said, but if you're not, let's not just do that. They were like, well, I said, I'm just saying. You know?
Play the role, right?
But the thing is, I think that I may be getting away from it, but I just think like just being genuine with people. And if people know that you're coming from a good place, I think it makes it better. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely, so what I do with those people, I tell them. You know, or I tell them in the way, some people I can't come that flat, right?
Yeah.
I give them a story.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I have to tell them, I even have to tell them like, yeah, I understand it. I get it. Like I know how that feels. You know, it's what it is. Clients want to see leg days. Guys, I always say leg days are one of them things where I'm gonna say upper body for guys, for the most part, we feel good, right? Because we in the mirror, we like, yeah, I
yeah.
you got the pump going on, you feeling swole.
And you walk out from under the counter and you see legs.
But when leg day come, right? Unless you wear tights, I don't wear tights. So unless you wear tights, you don't see anything. You're just hurt.
Yeah,
You're just tired, and that's why I love leg day. Me and leg days have a love-hate thing.
I gotta admit, man, those videos you've been posting about leg days have been pretty good, man.
Hey, but you wouldn't be able to tell that I can't listen. I guess what I've actually looked, and people say, "Man, what'd you say?" I'm like, "Man, I'm sick of this shit." I was talking about the workout, like, I'm tired of this, man. Like, shit, like, stop. Like, why do you do this to yourself? Like, I've worked my legs so hard. I know I'm getting away. I guess it's the improvement lounge, though, right?
Yeah, everything goes. Yeah.
I worked my legs. I was at Gold's Gym, and I was coming down the stairs, and this female was like, "Hey," and I'm like, and then why my legs? We talking about embarrassing. I'm talking about literally, I'm about to hit the floor, man. I said, "Come on, man." As I'm going down the stairs, my legs buckled.
Oh, geez, man.
She looked at me and said, "Leg day." I said, "Yeah."
That's good, man.
I just sat down. I was like, man, my legs just almost went out. Luckily, I was only like the third step from the top, like going down, and I mean from the bottom, so it wasn't gonna be a big fall. But my legs buckled. Man.
But check it out, man. You were amongst like-minded people, right? So she immediately knew that you had just killed it. You know what I mean?
Gotta get a dabs for that one. Just pick you right up.
And then that energy is so great. Like you public speaking, and this is what I'm learning now. Just learning a different way to talk to people. Like I like to learn. I'm a sponge. Marcus, it's funny how we put in the universe. Like I was like, I kept saying, I want to learn the stock market. That's what I kept saying. And one day, I didn't ask him. He just told me, start talking about the stocks. And now I'm learning about stocks.
That's cool, yeah.
You know, and I'm actually been doing pretty good thanks to his counseling. Shameless plug, whatever. He got a YouTube channel, all that kind of stuff. For real, man.
No, that's dope. My wife and I, we've been talking about stocks and retirement and everything like that quite a bit, man. And that stuff is important. It's really, really, really important. You know, especially when you're building your legacy and you're looking at the stuff that you're going to leave behind your kids. You know, not necessarily monetary value, but just like the complete package. Yeah, that stuff, man. Oh man, that stuff is definitely.
You know what's funny about the stocks? To me, what I'm learning now, though, is I don't know if it's just the money or the information.
Yeah,
because it's so many things behind certain things.
Yeah, it traps you in, man.
Yeah,
I never think I would enjoy this kind of stuff, right? This financial stuff. And then you start getting into it, you're like, man, this is pretty fun. And then you start digging more into stuff. Yeah.
And you're paying attention to like CEOs. Oh man, he got caught cheating on his wife. The stocks are gonna go down. Like, you care about it.
I had somebody say to me, man, what I would invest in is ammo. They said ammunition is hard to come by. That's what they said. So I was like, well, what companies you talking about? And they named the companies. And I learned when they named the companies, I looked that company up, but then I had to look up the company who owned that company. That's the thing. It's so many things that we just don't know. You know what I mean? Behind some like this company owns that company. And without stocks, I would have never even thought about anything like that.
Yeah, it gives you a new perspective. And that's what's neat is you learn about this kind of things about like economics and stuff, and you start applying it to other parts of your life and stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of this stuff, right? A lot of this self-improvement stuff's that way. You find something in one avenue or one perspective, and you just implement it into something else. And
it's funny. And then if I like to, I was telling somebody, they said when I'm running, I don't think about nobody else. I said, man, shoot, I'm running. I'm looking at the person in front of me.
Ooh, yeah.
Man, listen. It's not to be anything negative, but I'm not just in the wind. I'm trying to catch something, right? So
Yeah.
I like to being around people who push me. Marcus was talking about stocks. He kept saying, pull stocks. I played that play. And I'm like, the hell is he talking about? I was like, man, I feel real slow right now. And remember, I don't know if I said, man, dude, I was about to throw my phone. I didn't say the whole story because I was looking, I was like, man, call option, a swing. I was like, but now the fact that I've learned it, it's not as intimidating to me anymore. We just did it. Like how we say, we just do it, right?
Yeah.
It's very intimidating to me because, you know, you see all these charts and you hear all these people talking and you're in there like, all right.
There's always that imposter syndrome, but you got to get over that. It comes into the comfort zone, right? Nobody comes into it feeling at home, right? You have to build your home in that space, essentially.
And I'm pretty sure what Marcus was telling me, right? He didn't know I was confused. Like, man, what is he talking about? He's like, yeah, you got to put a put here. And I'm like, man.
But that's amazing, man, because that's the power of the mind, right? That's the power of the mind. And I think that the mind is such a beautiful freaking element in our life, man. Like I was looking at something the other day. Did you guys notice? I just thought about this. Richard Pryor was afraid of like speaking in front of people.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. Nice.
You wouldn't think
but
that.
some people, you know, you say that, and some people, that's where their humor comes from, right? Because they're nervous. And so they use that as like a coping mechanism to help them get through whatever it is that they're going through.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's the same thing with the stocks, man. You do it, you get used to it. Next thing you know, that's what you're known for. You know what I mean?
Man, I'm talking about, I'm gonna make a play on this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like anything, like I say, I think one of the biggest things is like how, I guess, to bring it back when we just say just do it, because then once you're in the game, you meet people, and you meet people who are like-minded. That's not even, when I say like-minded, they might not be doing the same thing you're doing, but you can be. I know me. I can be inspired by a lot of different things. Just seeing somebody do something that they're scared of.
Yeah.
Or seeing somebody succeed excites me. Really excites me to the point that it's crazy. Like, because when I see them do it, that's why I say I don't just chase any. Listen, if the person in front of me running and I see them reach that finish line, I'm still excited because they did it and they human and I'm human. So that means I can do it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
They keep you going. Or you got people like Marcus, let's get it, bro. When he first started, I was like, is he serious? Like, I mean, it doesn't bother me because I'm up anyways. But I didn't have any really. I have no friends that will text me or even up at that time.
Not early. Oh man, that's amazing, man. That is amazing. You need people like that in your life that's gonna push you. And that's one thing, man, that I noticed with a lot of my friends too, man. They push me to be greater. That's the thing, that they really push you to be greater. And when you get to a spot where you're at, I think is beautiful because you're uplifting other people and you see that and you're celebrating their successes. There's so many people out there, man, that it's almost like, I think competition is good, but it's almost like they compete so much that it's like envious. You know, it's like envious. I love seeing, man, when I see my brothers and sisters, like somebody posted that they had just got this big deal. And I was just like, whoa, that's amazing. I literally was like, oh my God. And immediately, not out of envy, but I'm like, okay, there's a blueprint. This dude just left a blueprint.
How do I reverse engineer it?
Let me look. Let me follow his moves. You know, let me see what he did to get that. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what we need more in society. You know, people like you guys that are champion other people's success, because there's so much greed out there. There's so much like backstabbing you know, that sometimes it seems like it outweighs the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? But
it's always highlighted, right? It's not, none of the good stuff is highlighted.
yeah,
I feel like happens. But yeah.
I think that you know, people who kind of like don't like to see people succeed in a sense. I said it's a self-esteem thing with them. They don't believe in themselves. It's not really about anything else. I think like they're mad because they think they can't do it, but if they applied themselves, they could. So, you know, I think that's just the thing. Like, I know that the confidence in myself that, and there's nothing wrong with that. People, it's okay to say I have confidence in me and my abilities, right?
yeah,
I have confidence even when I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I will figure it out, you know. And I, like you say, champion people's success. Like, I feel like if they did it, because I understand life in a sense with this at this part. Just because I see somebody do it doesn't mean that it was easy. Most of the time, there's a story behind it. It was hard. It was some things they went through, and it was cool. Like, I used stock market again. I kept asking Marcus, I don't know if he was catching. I kept saying, "Man, how did you?" Like, man, I just taught myself. So he was saying that. I was like, "Oh, he taught himself." Shit.
Exactly, man. That's how you have to do it. If you can't find a mentor, right, or anything like that,
and then I got
just
to
teach
myself.
yourself.
I said, hold on. I'm doing now, like, my clients hire me because I'm the fitness professional. You know, not saying I know everything, but I'm a professional. So I said, hold on, let's not try to do this all yourself.
that's good.
You don't understand a lot of these things. Ask Marcus. What is this? And remember, I don't know if you remember, I was like, what is it? I was like, what is a swing? Like, what's the difference between swing and a day?
Yeah.
You know, and it helps. For me, it helps, like, to be able to. For me, this is recharging. This is a part of it. Just to hear people's stories, like, to hear people say they were scared, they did it, they achieved it. Man, Tony, congratulations on that's awesome news. I got an on the spot thing for you too. I'm funny like that. It's a trainer in me.
I appreciate that, brother. Yeah.
So, would you be comfortable in 1 minute if you had to give somebody something to motivate them? Could you do it on the spot?
Yeah, on the spot. It depends. What's the subject? Let's go.
Getting out of your comfort zone. I'm gonna start the clock. Hey, this is a treat for everybody. What you want, a minute and 30 seconds? What you need, Tony?
You give me a minute, and if I go over, don't penalize me too much.
I'm sorry, this is the trainer in me, man. All right. Let me know when you want me to hit the clock.
All right, go.
Here we go. So
today we're talking about getting out of your comfort zone. I want you to take a deep dive, not only into yourself, but I want you to take a deep dive into what it is that you're trying to get into. I realize that you have this fear, right? The fear of the inevitable. You might be up against some insurmountable tasks, but you have everything inside of you to be able to make a difference. I believe in you. I'm pretty sure everybody around you believes in you. They believe that you have what it takes to be a success. But none of that matters. None of it matters unless you believe it. You have to believe it. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be obsessed, not just with the goal, but the progress, the things that you're going to have to do to get to your goal. It's up to you.
There we go. See?
There we go.
And see,
you got bonus points for that one too.
Yeah, definitely. That's when passion hits. That's passion.
100%.
And he just led by example. He took the challenge.
Yeah, you put me on the spot. No, but that's good though, and that's, I love that, brother. No, I love that, because that's one thing that I've worked on quite a bit, is being able to seize the moment, giving people what they need in that moment, and not second guessing myself. You know what I'm saying?
You did an awesome job, man. And I I didn't put you on the spot to think that you couldn't. I believe that you could, and that's one of the things that you do. Like I do that with my clients a lot. Like just let them see it, and I want to let everybody else here see that.
Yeah, I love it, brother.
Y'all looking and listening. That was not planned. We have no strips here. You see, we probably didn't got on. I say that word wrong every time, but we didn't got off tangent a few times. But that was just on the spot, right there on the topic.
100%. And on that note, I think it's a good closing section. I think we've had some great content here. Tony, we appreciate you coming on the Improvement Lounge and motivating some people, especially towards the end. You really dropped some encouraging words for people. So we do appreciate you coming on. Hopefully there'll be more times in the future. You can come back to the Improvement Lounge at any time and motivate some people.
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it, man. This is good. I took down quite a few notes from you guys while we were talking, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sean. Thank you guys out there. And until next time, we will see you guys later.
Get out your comfort zone.
Love it.